Today, you have the privilege of meeting an amazing educator, an innovative teacher teaching gardening to children. Join me as I begin this series on gardening in the classroom. Hi, I'm Gardener Scott, and I'm a gardening educator. I make videos on YouTube, but I've also run one of the largest school gardens in the entire United States. I've taught kids how to garden. I think it's extremely rewarding. And a few months ago, Jan, a Canadian teacher, reached out to me with the idea for a project of how to teach kids gardening in the classroom. And it was his idea to use GreenStalk towers as the way to teach gardening. They offer the opportunity to grow indoors and do it easily enough that kids can understand. Let me go ahead and let Jan tell you more about his project.
Hi there, my name is Jan. I'm a kindergarten teacher. This is my third year teaching kindergarten, and before I've been teaching for 11 years total. I'm currently finishing as you'll see in the clips, the filling up the planters activity with my students. They were teamed up in teams of 3 to fill in 6 planters. So I'm just filling up these last 4 so we can move on for a project. Gardening's something that I think is essential to learn, particularly in this day and age. And I've always done a bit of gardening in my classroom, but never full gardening. So a full garden. I've had my students prepare seedlings in the spring to bring home. I've grown a couple plants in the classroom, but never full-on garden. And there's always that thing in school where you've done once or twice, but never elsewhere in your life. And then one day when you're done school, you're like, oh yeah, I want to do this, and I want to know. And I want gardening to be one of those things the students remember. I want, even though they might not remember the full details because they're in kindergarten, I want them to know that they've done it, they've had successful results, so they'll feel confident should they ever decide to take up gardening again, or it's going to be just a nice moment they'll have lived in kindergarten. I really want my students this year to start from preparing the soil, planting the seeds, understanding the entire process of growing a plant, and observing how the fruit or the vegetable is created. And actually, I want to see them pluck the carrot out of the ground. I want to see them take that pepper or fruit or cucumber off the plant and bring it home and say, I grew this. That's why I contacted Gardener Scott. I'm an okay gardener at home, but I don't feel confident enough to garden with a whole classroom. I actually found out he worked at the Galileo schools afterwards, but I knew he had that good energy, and I knew he was open-minded and down to earth, and that's what I kind of needed as a mentor for this project. So I reached out to Gardener Scott, and I hope that he'll mention why he was interested in the project. But I thought it was a wonderful idea or wonderful opportunity when he said, I'm interested, to guide me along the process of gardening.
It was an easy decision for me to say yes when Jan asked for my help in developing a plan to teach kids how to garden. When I was at the Galileo School of Math and Science, the program was developing, and I learned that everybody benefits when you teach kids gardening. First, of course, the kids learn something that they can use and remember for their entire lives. But I think one of the more important aspects, and why I said yes to Jan, is that the teacher, the instructor, the adult learns much more about gardening and himself or herself than they ever imagined. And I saw that Jan had this potential to really make an incredible program. And his idea to use the GreenStalks in the classroom, I think, was spot on. So how about those GreenStalks?
And then the GreenStalk, well, the GreenStalk came from watching Gardener Scott's videos when I was preparing my own garden, and there was GreenStalk videos that pop up. And I thought about starting a classroom garden before, but I could never find the right medium. I'd seen some vertical raised planters, but they always seemed flimsy. I bought one to try, it didn't last long. But when he introduced to GreenStalk, it was cool. It seemed like quite the product, like premium quality, and it is bulletproof. I'll tell you later about it, but it is great. I've been working with it so far, and I don't foresee it breaking in a classroom, and there's 19 children. So everything is being worn down 19 times faster, and I don't foresee GreenStalk breaking this year. And GreenStalk has been just a wonderful company and accompanying me also in this project. And I think there's a place for GreenStalk in the classroom and many more classrooms. And I hope that you'll be able to discover this along your journey, and even at home to plant with your kids.
I like GreenStalks not only because they're bulletproof and can survive my Colorado winters, but because it's a family-owned business and the people there are incredible. And so when Jan reached out to me, I reached out to GreenStalk, and they were more than glad to help get Jan exactly what he was looking for.
Now you might see from the GreenStalk planter here that there are multiple colors. I didn't decide this. I find it actually quite cool. When I reached out to GreenStalk, of course they wanted to know what colors I wanted. And before ordering, I said, let's go for 2 colors. So I said Glacier Blue and Evergreen. Afterwards, I had the students, before preparing the soil with them, and before teaching them what the soil was, I had them play with the GreenStalk as Lego blocks. We set it up together, as you'll see here, and I let them play with it. I let them disassemble. Being a tank of a product, I let them figure it out because I wasn't worried about the GreenStalk breaking, and I wanted them to understand how the GreenStalk works, which is why I let them play. And throughout playing, the students actually came up with the idea of alternating the colors.
What color did you choose? Are you mixing the colors?
I find that's quite creative. I mean, of course anyone could have thought of it, but it wouldn't have come to me as easily. For them, it took them 2 minutes. Quite impressive. Kids.
Yeah, kids. That was one of the most educational things for me when I was teaching at a school gardening to those kids. They look at the world differently. Even though I would create a lesson plan, it would veer off in a number of different directions once they started thinking and asking questions and doing the gardening themselves. And so having the interchangeable colors actually makes sense from a kid's perspective. It wasn't part of my plan, and it wasn't part of Jan's plan. Now, Jan is bilingual, and in Canada, he's teaching his students in French primarily, but he's also teaching them about gardening using English words. And so I am part of the program. I think that's incredible. And this is part of his introduction to his kids about Gardner Scott.
Alors si on regarde ici, on voit des jeunes plantes et on voit des humains. Lui, c'est qui lui, on s'en rappelle? Quelqu'un s'en rappelle son nom? Monsieur Scott. Monsieur Scott, exactement.
Now, if you don't speak French, to the students, I'm not Gardner Scott, I'm Mr. Scott, Monsieur Scott. And so that's how we'll proceed when I have interaction with the students in the future. And I'm looking forward to making videos for the kids, and the kids are already making videos for me. In fact, let's get into that portion, the actual instruction. And you don't need to speak French to understand just exactly how he's teaching these kids.
Now, this being a French school, I'm going to give you the play-by-play of the lesson in English real quickly. I want the students to understand what soil composition is, because it's a fallacy to think that you can just plant a seed anywhere and it's going to grow. It needs a specific part. It needs a properly built soil. Gardner Scott being experienced in this, we were able to chat by email and find a plan that would work for the students. We compared it to dinner table, a full course meal on a dinner table. The table itself being the planter. It holds the plates, it holds the food, it holds the water. Toute la nourriture se retrouve dans ça. Comme pour nous, quand nous autres on mange, on mange à une table, on a une boîte à lunch. Alors, ça c'est la table. Et ça tient la nourriture. Les assiettes aussi. Ça c'est la même chose. Ça c'est la table pour une plante. Okay. La plante reste ici et sa nourriture est à l'intérieur. Et à l'intérieur, on met la nourriture. Then, the students, for the breakdown of the soil, I had them see the other parts of the soil as other elements on the dinner table. I had them see the actual food as the compost. Oui, qu'est-ce qu'on voit dans l'image à l'arrière de celle-ci? Qu'est-ce qu'on voit ici en levant la main? Oui. La nourriture. Ben, pour qu'une plante pousse, elle a besoin de la nourriture. Mais on peut pas donner un hamburger à une plante. Je peux pas dire, tiens toi, mange un sandwich. Ça fonctionne pas. Le sandwich, la pomme, les biscuits, tout ce qu'une plante pourrait manger, c'est dans du compost. Du compost, c'est, en réalité, c'est de la matière organique. Then, well, the actual food, you can't just put it on a table. You don't usually. You put it on something. And that is where the regular bag of garden soil came in. The garden soil being comprised, yes, of mulch and yes, of compost, but there's also sand and silt and rocks in here. That makes the medium, that makes the plates that will hold the nutrients, which is the compost. Êtes-vous capable de dire garden soil? Garden soil. Exact. Et ici, ça c'est très spécial parce que c'est fait de petites roches et même du petit sable, tout écrasé. Et ça donne de la terre. Alors, et une dernière chose, mais vous allez voir plus tard, en regardant ici, qu'à l'intérieur, vous allez voir des petites billes. Ça, dans la terre à jardin, ça c'est les assiettes. Ça tient la nourriture. Sans ça, la nourriture ne se tient pas. On a besoin de la petite poussière de roche, on a besoin de cette terre-là pour tenir le compost. Alors, on va mélanger les deux ensemble. Finally, there is the peat moss. The peat moss has many uses, but for my 5 and 6-year-old students to remember, the essential is it's the glass of water. Peat moss absorbs moisture and helps the plants drink properly. On va voir, ça ressemble tout pareil. Ça, c'est poussiéreux. J'ai de la... Êtes-vous capable de dire tourbe de sphène? Tourbe de sphène. Ouais. En anglais, êtes-vous capable de dire peat moss? Peat moss. Exactly. Afterwards, there was perlite, as you see I'm adding, but I'm only adding perlite to this planter because I'm the one finishing it. Whereas this, I didn't want them to manipulate the perlite because of the dust. And at the same time, it's going to be a fun experiment to see which planter grows better, with perlite or without perlite. But talking of Gardner Scott, once again, was fun because we're able to figure out a simple way to explain this to the students. And there's also that validation in the way that I don't have the experience. So it's nice to throw ideas with an experienced gardener who will say, yeah, this will totally work for the kids. And that's fun with collaborating at Gardner Scott on this. So thank you very much again.
Wouldn't you love to be in that classroom? How could I not be excited to work with Jan and his students as we move forward on this journey of teaching gardening in the classroom? So look for those videos to come with me, with Jan, with his students, and maybe even with Mala. And we'll end with some special messages from the kids. I'm Gardner Scott. Enjoy gardening.
Thank you, Mrs. Scott. Go. Thank you, Mrs.